Welcome back, everyone, or welcome for the first time. Before we dive in, I would like to plug the CreatiF-Center. And tell you what we actually do and why we co-created this event with the Seriencamp and the Festival Future Storytellers. So today's session is directly intertwined with the most important areas of what we actually do, which is explore new technologies and how they shape storytelling. And to name a few things that we have been working on is virtual production, immersive experiences, and also the research and development of workflows and software tools. And these are just some of many points of exploration that we believe are changing how we enable stories to be created, being told, and how they're being received in a completely new environment.
And one of these environments are, of course, game engines. Game engines have expanded far beyond their origins in the games industry, obviously. And now they are sort of core tools in film production and are also accelerating the convergence between cinematic and interactive workflows. We have, of course, visualizations, real-time rendering, and they shape how stories are developed and how teams collaborate. And this, how teams can collaborate, is one of the things that we want to discuss in this sessions today. And why does this shift actually matter? It is because real-time tools make creative decisions visible earlier. Virtual production unifies design, cinematography, and VFX into a single pipeline. And game engine methods enable rapid iteration and experimentation, all things that the game developers know already from how they work. And at the same time, games engineering talent now finds opportunities well beyond the core games industry as film, TV, and related sectors adapt these tools. And now this session looks at how filmmakers can use game engines not just as a technical system, but as a creative companion that help crystallize vision.
And now let me introduce our speakers. So first is Alican Eren Kuzu, who is a cinematic designer and filmmaker. He's standing there. Alican Eren Kuzu works at the intersection of interactive technology and cinematic expression. His practice draws on engine-based workflow to frame scenes, craft mood, and test visual ideas in real time, all while maintaining strong aesthetic authorship. He represents a new generation of creatives who see engines not as pipelines, but as imaginative playgrounds, enabling storytellers to explore camera movement, spatial design, lighting psychology, and narrative pacing long before traditional production begins.
Alican will be joined by Ramona Casasola-Greiner, here in the front. She is agile coach and digital analytics expert, and she brings the organizational and methodological dimension. How teams can integrate highly technical tools into creative workflows and how this opens up a whole new creative toolbox. Her work focuses on agile production methodologies. This is a difficult word for me, I don't know why. Creative process design and interdisciplinary communication. In a world where storytelling increasingly relies on complex tool chains, and not only storytelling to be fair, but the whole world, her expertise ensures that innovation is sustainable, collaborative, and of course, human-centered.
And together, they'll show us how game engines become catalysts for a new creative culture, one where linear and interactive visualization intertwine and where filmmakers can shape worlds with unprecedented fluidity. Please welcome Ramona Casasola-Greiner and Alican Eren Kuzu.
The slide. Oh, it works. Okay. The slide has to be changed. Did it? There it is. Yeah, I'm. Thanks first for coming. This festival is way bigger than what I am, so I hope I can give you something interesting. Yeah, I'm Alican Kuzu. I will play a little bit, if it works. So yeah, it's hard to say what exactly I am. I would say I'm an animation director, but that would be a lie. I am doing a lot of things. I'm writing, I'm storyboarding, I'm acting, I'm doing production plans, I'm financing things. The biggest part of what I do is bringing things technically together. And what you can see here is mostly done with the Unreal Engine, the game engine, or was started in the Unreal Engine and then moved over to another tool to be finished there. So, and not that, this. And yeah, my journey was full of projects, and each of them had their own challenge. And there was one in particular which, if I even think about it, it was 4 years of my life, and almost, or basically everything, all my pennies invested, and likely I will die a few years earlier because of this project. And in the end, it failed after 4 years of grinding. This was an unfinished poster. It goes a bit up and down more than this. But there was one, or there were many learnings. I mean, many things I do now, I started there, like creating 3D scans, 3D doubles of the characters, doing a lot of green screen, but not just green screen, but what you see here is a HTC Vive controller connected to a Unreal Engine project file, and that was 2016. So the Vive was just out. So, and we were there, we were trying it. A big mistake we did was we didn't do a small project with that. We started with 135 minutes web series, which then brought another big learning, and that was I would say, the biggest learning of all, if Donald Trump allows me to phrase things like he does. And that was the whole processes. There were too many, and they were endless. Like, how long does it take to create a character? How long does it take to composite everything? And we had a lot of sets. We had a lot of characters, and oddly, after that, after letting it down, I started experimenting with the Unreal Engine. It was 2018. It was not the time where Unreal Engine had become what it is now. Now it's the go-to film engine, so to speak. And back then it was a big compromise. It was not really fulfilling my ambitions as a filmmaker, but I saw a few advantages there. I thought, okay, that's worth trying to do something with it. And luckily, month by month, year by year, they advanced it. They brought in all the tools which we would have needed back then to not stumble over our own feet and create basically everything from scratch. And yeah, and I was there. I was basically part of it. So, and today, this is really odd how this jumps. Today, a lot of things are possible through these tools. We can, within hours, create a 3D version of our actors, and they are fully rigged. They can talk. They can be motion captured. The face can be motion captured, and we can do motion capture with GoPros. A very good motion capture actually, which you can see here. We did a fighting scene, and this is the face capture. What did he say? And here you can see how realistic a real-time world can look like in the Unreal Engine. I put a lot of time into that, but it can also work as a backdrop for This was green screen. It was a real person. And you can also create fully animated films or trailers. In this case, it was a trailer, which has cinema quality. Or you can also create full CG shots in your, that's a bit dark. Sorry, my stuff is always a bit dark. It's a mixture here, actually, Unreal Engine and real. And it doesn't really, you don't really see it. And here we use a television to put into the background. Yeah. And all these tools are there, but they are kind of scattered, or they are just provided from the different companies, or mostly in the Unreal Engine. And what I thought, when I thought back into my 4-year failure, I wanted to shorten specific processes or jump them fully to be able to create something big, because that was always the point. I didn't want it to create the normal stuff. I always wanted to create dragons fighting, I don't know, mechas or and I'm already a bit further than this. And yeah, and it all starts with a previs. When you create something with the Unreal Engine. And what is a previs? You might, I think you all are veterans in filmmaking in some kind, you know what it is. A visualization, that's the word I cannot speak, is basically you're making the film before you're making the film. You are in your living room with toys, and when it comes to VFX and animation, you are, in best case, you are layouting, which is kind of a previs, but it's a project file which will carry on till the finished product. And this is a screenshot from my current feature film. I'm doing completely in Unreal Engine. The vehicle is blocked out. That's why it looks like like Lego. It will look better later. But I have a whole teaser for you from this film, so you can see how this looks like. What I'm talking about, the previous.
Every desolate place keeps a secret. Once you've been there, it'll take a piece of you. And in its place, something else returns.
It's old, maybe older than mankind. The question was never, are we alone? The question is, do we even matter?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a previous. I didn't think I will do a teaser, but I just wanted to show the current state of it with a few clips, and then it turned out, oh, I can actually make a teaser out of it. So it's very scattered. Don't mind. If you are working in Unreal Engine, you have the very amazing advantage of the game engine features it has. That's that everything can be connected. So you don't have to have hundreds or thousands of project files. You have just one, and everything is in there, and you can make an entire master film edit timeline where you put everything into it, all your scenes, and you just hit play and you watch basically your entire movie. And how this is structured is quite a bit of a, you have to do a little trick in your brain. You have an actors track that is maybe the most important one. The actors track is basically where the actors are in and where the performance is in. So you maybe do motion capture, which we did. That's where the actors are, and everything what they have, like a gun, or maybe, I don't know, someone has something else on, like another costume. Everything is in there, but it has no camera yet. You just watch it like a happening in front of you. The camera comes in the shot, which is another clip in which your actor's clip is inside. And then when you duplicate your shot, you can create different camera angles. I will show you that later. And then put that all into your scene, and your scene can also make appear a set you have built. And you can see here it's another set. So when the time cursor goes over, it makes the needed scene appear, and all the actors are where they should be. Keep that a little bit in mind, but I will show you how that looks in practice. So this is the entire timeline of my feature film. It's 200 scenes. And like I said, it's all in one thing. I think it's not intended that way because meanwhile it sometimes crashes. And I believe I just did something they didn't think about. But I will tell them so they make it more stable in this case. So you can see here are the actors inside, and to the actors I also count the shuttle or whatever is moving in the scene. And every scene is set up the same way. I have just one shot in the beginning, and later there will be more shots if I want to have more than one camera angle. I don't know what I did there. Okay, it's almost done. So, and as I mentioned, you can create your animation in different ways. This is basically with a controller, you're controlling like a game, your character, and you can later put your astronaut on it and cameras on it and have a little previous short film or scene, whatever you need. It looks a bit gamey. Alternatively, you could use AI. This is a tool called Motorica. You just put waypoints and the character moves there quite realistically, and you of course can put that on your character. But that's not acting. If you want acting, you need to motion capture. This is one of our scenes. We'll show you a few different ways to motion capture. Seems like I even broke that. Okay. OptiTrack is this state-of-the-art tracking method for actors. This is the thing everybody's likely familiar with. You have the black suits with the small reflective balls on them, and these are all infrared cameras around them. and they basically capture a picture which is almost completely black, except the little reflective balls which reflect back to the camera like cat eyes. And because the cameras are calibrated, which means they know where they are in 3D space, they can when two cameras see a point, they can triangulate the entire actor and or the point first, but that's why there are so many cameras. This is how it looks like. Then you have like a skeleton being driven by these dots which are moving now in 3D space, which the cameras are seeing. A little ghosty view is here. So these are the dots, the points, and it drives basically a 3D character. This is very expensive. There is another method which we used because we had no money, just my money, and that was not much. We did that with GoPros, with 12 GoPros around the stage, so they are not capturing an infrared image, they are just capturing a normal image, which you could also capture with your phone. And what that does is there is an AI looking at every frame and drawing a stick figure-like thing on them. And because these cameras are also calibrated in 3D space, the pose the cameras see or the AI sees can be reconstructed in 3D space. Let me show you how that looks like, the stick figure. It looks essentially like this. I don't know if this is an open source tool I used here. I'm not sure if the tool I use for the motion capture uses the same, but this is how it looks like when you don't see the video in the background. So it's called pose estimation. And so you saw the little scene there, which the actors played. And now that stuff is inside Unreal Engine in the scene, the correct scene, so you can see them moving. It's not perfect. It's still, some of the characters are not replaced with their acting characters, but you can see it already is good enough so we can put some cameras on them. So, and like I mentioned, you just copy paste your shot, which contains your camera, and then you can do different camera perspectives with it and edit it on the fly, like you're doing cameras and editing at the same time. It's a kind of weird, but it's very free in that sense. So and you can change it afterwards, so you can see how it evolves more and more. And then I also put some lights into it, so it's more the thing I had envisioned as I was writing the scene. It's a bit like the campfire horror story. So you see the whole scene is now set up, and now we can watch the scene. It's with GoPro sound, so don't be bothered by that, hopefully.
Hey, you're awake.
What happened? You suddenly disappeared.
You're the scientist. You're here to investigate all this madness. Hey, back off. You're going to tell us what's going on. Now.
I'm sorry, you should have been briefed.
Well, then why weren't we?
We weren't certain anything would happen in this gravity. Even I didn't expect.
What? What the hell is going on?
I need everyone to listen. There's something out there. And it's hunting us.
What hunting? On the moon?
We believe it's another world, bleeding into ours, or perhaps multiple worlds, pressed together at this location. We've seen similar phenomena on Earth, but nothing is powerful.
And what are they?
Based on our observations, we classify 3 types of beings. Type 1, echoes, manifest as what you might call poltergeists, disoriented entities, likely experiencing our world like a nightmare, confused and trapped in the phenomenon.
You must be joking.
Type 2, spectral animals. It is something large and aggressive. A bear, a bull, an ape. You can't see them, but they're real. Destructive, disoriented, like the echoes.
And type 3?
Type 3. They're aware of the breathing. They control it. They're rare, but when they come,
Then what?
invade our dreams. Appear in nightmares.
Oh my god, are you saying that thing is real?
And where's Marcus? He's looking for Zach. Can you reach him?
No, we've been trying the whole time. Our transmission seems to pass out like something is diffusing.
Have you tried the observatory?
The observatory?
There's no one there.
The observatory has powerful antennas and sits on high ground. If we connect to it, could try to reach others in the area.
She's right. It's worth a shot.
Do it.
So that was the scene. Pip. And it has no face animations yet. That will be the next thing to challenge. And you, like mentioned, everything is connected. You can just change stuff. I now took off her helmet, so now the scene plays without her helmet. I don't have to go shot by shot and replace her without the helmet. And the same goes with the rest of the suit. You can just change the color or the environment. I'm now just putting some basketballs, I guess, there to show how this stuff even appears in the other scenes where this set appears. And the same is true for everything, like your block-outed vehicles, and the cool thing is now it looks like this very cheap Lego style, but later when we start replacing it with the real thing, with the real design thing, it will just be an instant everywhere where it occurs in the film. So we don't need hundreds of artists who are managed by hundreds of managers to go and tell them, go replace this in this scene, the thing with the new model. It happens just like that. And where can you go from here? Basically everywhere. You can use your previs as a blueprint for your live action film or for virtual production or green screen backdrop, or create a full CG film like I'm doing, or use it as an AI control layer. I have a few examples here in my last video I want to show. So from block out or layouting or prevising to the final thing, you can see how it evolves. And here's a green screen thing I did alone in our kitchen. yeah, filming myself doing some silly stuff. It sometimes feels kind of odd when you're past 30 and you go into costume alone and it is 30 plus degrees outside and you're in a diving suit. It's very dangerous. And you do stuff like that. I really felt stupid at that day. I remember the camera almost fell off from the table. And here's our example how the shitty rigs virtual production worked out. Yeah, you never know how well it will work out. You just boldly go into it and put some time into it and try to learn it and try to make your idea reality. Don't know if I have in the end some interesting stuff. Let's jump over. Oh no, yeah, here's the green screen stuff. Yeah, that was it. I hope I could give you some insight into what real-time engines can do for you. It's really easy, and you can slice it into two pieces, like the previous, and then everything what comes after. You don't have to learn what comes after that, like building all the models in the perfect way. There are experts for that, but you're filmmakers. You want to tell stories, and my little pipeline there helps really to think in performance, put that quickly into very simple scenes, and from that you can start replacing this stuff, and your movie emerges very quickly from that point on, because you don't have this friction you would normally have in traditional animation productions or any kind of productions where you are rely on previs, which is done in 3D. Thanks for listening. Wie ging das?
Hi. So, who of you is already familiar or halfway familiar with agile methods or agility? Okay, cool. These are quite some people, which is good because then we can get back some time and save some time while going through this. For the rest, if you ask people what is agile, what is agility, if you ask 10 people, you might get 12 answers. And even when I'm asked what is agility, what is agile, I might give a completely different answer depending on who am I talk to. So it's not that easy, but I tried to give you a short introduction. So for this, at its core, agile is a way of reducing the distance between our assumptions and what we think might work in a project, in a product development, and what actually works, so the reality. So basically what one of my favorite definitions is that it's a system for handling uncertainty. And before we had agile, we had like waterfall product development, and I think agility is easier if you understand where it's coming from. So some people in a company department from management had the idea they want to build a new washing machine, for example, and then they gave their idea to the product development, and they scoped like the product, and they gave it to the tech department, and they chose the materials and all the technical stuff. Then they gave it to the design department, and after having the design, they gave it to the production and then to the marketing, and then it got shipped. And the problem is that only in the end, when the final washing machine, after like 3 years of development, is there, you can find out, is there a value? Will people buy this washing machine, or won't there be a value? And we develop for 3 years something that no one wants, which is maybe too expensive to ship because it's too heavy, or which is too expensive because the materials were so expensive that no one will buy it. And as you can see on the left, the risk with every step you take in such a waterfall system, the risk increases. And the phases of defining a project or product or film, building it and then releasing it in Agile is put in a lower risk way, because you put all these people working on all these different stages together, and you always define smaller parts, you build smaller parts, you release smaller parts, you measure, so you get feedback, and then you learn from that, and then you can put it in the next iteration. So you keep the risk of developing something completely useless really low over the time, and in the end you will have a better product. And this is basically the core idea of agility, and this is in these sprints actually where the agile magic happens. So being agile is not about never ever being wrong. It's about being wrong as early as possible, because that means that your mistakes you make are as cheap as possible. And in a nutshell, the most important elements of agile working is shortening the feedback loop, so you have immediate feedback from maybe viewers, from yourself when you are doing the film production magic and the game engines. You work with MVPs, so minimum viable products. The first thing that you can show to someone, or that you can evaluate, does it work or won't it work? You have iteration, so you take the same thing and make it better and better with smaller parts, the increments. You focus a lot and you prioritize a lot, which is important, of course, and this might also limit the work in progress, because if you focus on what is to do next, you don't see the washing machine in like 3 years' time. You see the thing that you have to build next. And this is, of course, about focusing and prioritization. And with your team members, when you have all these different departments that I've just shown working closely together, of course you have to be transparent. Everyone has to know what the others are thinking, what the others are doing. So you have a huge need for alignment, and of course user centricity. And that is also why I want to encourage you to ask a lot of questions when we take our seats there, because this talk is for you. So to keep it as user or watcher or listener centric as possible, please ask your question. And one last sentence maybe. For me, the big question of Agile is, are we learning fast enough to make better decisions than we did yesterday? This is basically what Agile is about. This was a tour de force of Agile. Thanks.
It works.
Very good. So, I think your talk was really, really impressive. And of course, I had a glimpse at it before to get prepared. What do you think? How many people in the film industries, or maybe a percentage, are working in like agile ways as you do?
Hard to think of that. I'm always looking at other people's workflows, and that's essentially how I create mine. I steal from others. And what I discovered was there are a lot of people working with the Unreal Engine, but they work in the old-fashioned way. They structure their clips in a way where basically they work one after the other. They don't connect the things. Where I got the biggest inspiration, we are getting big again, was from Avatar, The Way of Water. They have a very extensive behind the scenes, which is, I think, as long as the movie itself, like something 3 hours. And what they did was very impressive. They created also a previs or a layout, and they called the singular clips cam loads, which I call shots. And they do it basically the same way. That's where I have the inspiration from, and I thought, hey, I can recreate that in Unreal Engine with a few clicks, and it is very, very smart. And as far as I know, the production from them is costly, but not as costly as you would think it is from what they output. They are it's very smart how they approach this. But thinking of the industry itself, I believe it's far too few people, because every time when I'm asked to join a project, it's like the producers have made their minds how to do it, and it's like 40 years ago, and you come in and you're in the middle of the process, and you cannot really unfold your paths to make it more agile or more efficient and more feedback loopy, because I always call it they stitch the cloth bit by bit before knowing what it will look like in the end, and then it looks like what the hell. And and I think most projects these days are also failing because of that, because the longer a project goes, a visual effects complex project, the more complex it gets, and the more it feels endless, like you're somewhere in between, and you know you made a lot of mistakes, and you have to solve them. You have to change the engine while you're driving very fast, and that's also what I thought from my method. You can change everything. You can basically render the whole film every night and watch it again from where it is. And one thing I didn't mention is you can upload your project to a versioning tool, and every artist has the same project on their computer, and they're creating little updates, and they pushing that update to the server version, and everybody can download it, so you can see very quickly when something is added and how it will look like. And if you think, maybe blue shirt is not so nice, let's try a red one, and you can watch the entire film with a red shirt, and you don't need to wait for weeks. You just make it and render it and watch it, or watch it before rendering it. And I think this should be something.
Okay, one of the big questions is, do you think that the art will change through the methods? Because if you can, like, you have your film, but as we know, we can't know the best result that we have like in 3 years' time. And now it's so easy to like change small things like the color of your shirt, but also change different endings, different dialogues and stuff. What do you think? Will it have like a big impact that when a lot of people are using those agile methods, that they find the better product, the better movie, because there's so much experimenting?
Yes, I strongly believe in that. I'm a fan of old movies, of 80s and 90s and early 2000s. I think that's where movies peaked, like with Lord of the Rings and Titanic and stuff like that. And after that, we somehow, for some reason, I think that there are many reasons why this is happening, lost our way. And when you look back at, let's say, The Terminator or other movies from the 80s, they were not that expensive, and studios had more balls to just go to a no-name director and say, you're making this movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Today it's impossible. Even the ones who have won Oscars and are in the game for 40 years have trouble to get their films funded. And when films get cheaper again, and smaller studios or smaller productions can just say, okay, let's go, let's become pirates or bandits and just make it, that will flood the zone at some point. And like Dimitri said before, you try to stand out, but in film it is not that easy when you cannot make your film. Let's say everybody's watching Marvel or whatever, some superhero movie, and you cannot make a superhero movie with your German budget. But what if you can? And then it will flood the zone. It will completely outmaneuver and outnumber the whole funding system also here in Germany, which is very rigid. And I was fighting for budgets for a long time, and at some point I started my film, and then I had producers approaching me and wanting to do that with me, and there were budgets which I, before starting that, could dream of, and I said no to them because I know I don't need them anymore. It always costs me more to have them on board than having them not on board. I can do 2 freelance jobs and finance the next chapter in the production myself and own the whole thing myself. And when I publish it, when it's out, I'm not making somebody else rich. Hopefully myself and my crew, and can build from there. Yeah, I strongly believe that it will change the landscape. But not just that, there are a lot of things that can change the landscape. Also AI, for example, is a big factor, and we should also think about affordable cameras. Like as I started making films in 2008, having a full HD camera was like wow. And now we can buy really cinema ready cameras for a while now, for a decade now. I have 2 laying around and catching dust, so I'm not using them anymore. But you can basically create a very cinematic film with very little money. And
what would you say? Does it make the production faster, cheaper, or the film better? If you could only choose one.
I would say it makes the film better.
Perfect.
Because faster and cheaper is always a scalable thing.
I would agree.
When I think of how I operate, we had in VFX industry a thing. I was like, what if we had double the money? Would we be double as fast? I was a 22-year-old kid, and one of our seniors said no. We would need the same time, and it would be as shitty as it is. You just stretch it more. You have more people who are stretching it, so it's a scalable thing.
So, do we have questions from the audience? Yes, perfect.
Are you familiar with Predator Killer of Killers, which was completely done in Unreal Engine 5?
Yes, but I didn't watch it yet. I saw making ofs before it was dropped out.
And the second question is, as I come from the games industry and I've worked for 20 years, all the art you're doing already, is it planned to make a game out of that, or is it purely planned as a movie?
I think I have shown 4 projects here, mishmash of these 4 projects. One was a short film. One is a feature film concept, and the one was a animated film which is in production now, and the other one, which with the tribals and with the cave stuff, with the animal, it's a game. I'm the cutscene guy in that game, but I have a little bit of a story veto there, but I'm just a cutscene guy.
I was specifically thinking of the sci-fi concept that pretty much looks like a modern game. I mean, the nanites, you can easily do that in real time.
Yeah.
So it would make sense if you make a FX movie anyway. I mean, completely virtual. Makes sense to make a game and a movie at the same time because the assets can just be reused.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the funny thing is, the Moon film, I actually have the moon in real size in the project, and I have looked at the points, the science, where would they put their bases there, and I put them there, so you can walk or drive from one base to the other. It's you just need a game mechanic in it, and you have a game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It would make sense because that way you make 2 things at the same time, and then ideally one of them works, and if the other one doesn't work well.
Yeah, it's true.
But do you guys have game development experience, or is it just purely movie experience?
I'm mostly movie experience. I tried to go into game stuff. I already made games as I was, I don't know, 11 years old. But I later went more into animation and filmmaking, and in that company where I'm now, they wanted to take me into the game design area, but I was not that much interested. It just messes up with my filmmaking mind, where everything is important, and in game design or narrative design, not everything is important. The dialogues always have to be open, and giving the player the choice. And I don't think like that. I want to choose and what is more meaningful, and I want to construct a narrative. I want to create a roller coaster for the feeling. So I'm more a filmmaker. But I can program a little bit.
What was so smart about the workflow used in Avatar? You mentioned it was a smart way how they arranged it, but what was it actually that made it so smart?
The connection inside the in Avatar. The smart thing is they're creating a digital clip, basically, like when you film with your phone or with any kind of camera, you get a clip which you can edit. And when you normally work in animation pipelines, you think first storyboard, and then out of the storyboards you create project files, and then the animation trickles in, so you don't really create a whole take where you put the camera on and then later edit and then polish. You have all this hundreds of project files flying around, and when you want to, you cannot just say, okay, we are moving this character a little bit back, and he will be moved back in every shot in the scene. Doesn't happen. You have to go project file for project file, and there were a lot of other things, how they approached it, from design to finished thing, or the in-betweens. I don't remember everything, but I was always surprised, because I'm always doing a pause and analyzing the whole set, or what's on the screens. What are you doing there? It's really smart. Believe me, bro.
Okay, maybe here.
Yeah. So I have a question: if you do a full CG movie, like how exactly does the camera work? Can you really change the exposure? Do you have like an aperture, or do you have virtual lenses that sort of have a bit of character, or like, well, what if you were the DP? Like, what could you do?
You can do everything, and I would recommend every DP to install Unreal Engine and play around with it, because it has a filmmaking camera in it. It's called Seriencamp, and it does everything what actual camera does. You have your sensor size. You can also change that. You have your exposure. You have your lenses. You have so many things in it you can use, and you learn a lot, because the whole world inside Unreal Engine is meanwhile physically very accurate. So when you place a light there and a bouncer, it will work the way it will likely work on set. So you can plan your shoot in Unreal Engine, and you learn a lot about camera. I was not a camera guy, but now when I'm on set, I immediately know what to do, so the stuff looks cinematic.
Okay, maybe we have time for one other question. Yeah.
Yeah, if it's fine, it's a question for you both.
Yeah.
Because you did talk a lot about Agile, and I want to stress it a little bit, because in my experience, Agile is often just waterfall with a Kanban board, and what's really missing is a certain culture for failures. How important is the culture for failures in using Agile methods?
Yeah, it's definitely important. It's this, Agile starts with the mission that we can't know everything, and that we don't know in the beginning of a project what the perfect project will look like. And if we have this admitted, then we can start exploring what could be the best thing, and dealing with this uncertainty, even embracing this uncertainty. I think you can only embrace uncertainty if you have an experimenting culture and a failure culture, of course.
and how well this intertwined with the film industry, who's very, very sensitive to failure, in my experience. Do you have any?
I guess because it always has been very expensive if you have a failure. But now these methods could also, in my opinion, change the mindset in the filming industry, because you can do it in the game engine and try a lot.
Yeah, and my example with my 4-year grind, it was really devastating for me to fail there. And in Germany, it is a thing to fail. In a whole other thing in America, it's different to fail. It's like a badge. Okay, you failed. You know how to do it. And in Germany, it's like everybody wants to be reasonable, and then when you are unreasonable and try it anyway and you fail, and everybody's like, I told you so. And you know that, even if nobody says that. But like I also mentioned, it was one of the biggest learnings, maybe the biggest learning I had, which propelled me to be able to be bold in everything I do now. And when I now approach a project, I'm also trying to figure out, okay, what will be the process for this and that. And then there are weeks where I'm just testing around. As we were building up the motion capture system, the documentation from Move AI, that's the tool, is so crappy. It took me a month to get it together and ready for production, because it was so fragile and it was breaking apart every time you hit on record button. And also with all the other things, like when do you capture face, or how do you capture face, and all the things you have to figure out. And what you do normally is you crash test it. You have an idea and you crash test it. You have another idea, you crash test it. And even if everything crashes and burns, you now know a lot of things which are valuable to create something that will not crash. And depending on the time, you maybe go boldly into the situation without knowing if that will also crash, or you have the time to also crash and burn that. But I think it's very valuable, and it should be a essential part in how we approach the future, because we cannot, the genie is out of the box. We cannot put away all this technology and all the rising costs from film production. It is here. So we have to use the technology to defeat the costs, and we have to learn how to operate with it.
You said depending on the time. I think the time's over. Oh, perfect. So
I'm from the rigid part of the system, so I'm from funding. And I would be interested, how would you envision kind of another way of funding? Because at the moment we have funding we have the script development, we have project development, we have production. But now, if I understood you, everything is like one big phase in a way. So how would you envision a new way of funding?
I mean, if we go straight into that question, we could maybe also create a section where we can put in a previous trailer. When the funders would understand why it looks like how it looks, that would help a lot, because it's kind of strange. You're always talking to people who you think they know how it works, but at the same time you have to think, no, they likely not, because the film topic is very, very broad, and meanwhile you cannot know everything. But when it comes to funding itself, where it was always hard for me to get through was the initial thing itself. When I came up with my presentation, the guy who called me said, "It looks good, it can't be good." And the other guy, a few months later, I applied again, and I had another guy. It was in Berlin, it was not here. He said, "Amazing stuff, it looks so nice, and it is so thrilling, but we are not doing stuff like that here in Germany." So it fails because of the nature of the project. It is not about about anything else. They are not even reading the story before they have an opinion about it. And I think that's a big problem. I think we have to be more bold. In when do we plan to be bold? When the ship is sunk? I mean, we are already sinking. It's just the nose looking out, and we are always desperate and looking around and asking, why is German film industry not working? And still we are clinging to, it's not your fault. I know that. In my opinion,
I
it's...
think it's the whole system which is kind of interlinked.
Yeah, yeah.
Funding is one part of it, of course.
And it evolved into that. It was years or decades of film productions trying something and film productions not trying something, and those who didn't try something, they could survive better than those who tried something. And so you cultivate this, it's like a theory of evolution. The starving, bold visionaries die out, and then, I mean, when I go to the funding system, they often tell me I need a production company. And when I go to the production companies, they tell me, no way this project will work out. And one concern is the cost. And I'm like, look at my pipeline, the costs are very small. They don't believe it. Because in Germany, we used to be reasonable, vernünftig. Sei doch vernünftig. And that's a big problem. And I think we have to start be unvernünftig to move forward. Because that's what movies are about. You have a character, everybody says, no, you cannot do that, and the character says, I can do it. And strategizes, and it fails midway or somewhere, the T-Rex comes out and says, you cannot make dinosaurs and control it, wah! And then the characters have to figure out a way out. So it's always a lie we tell ourselves to then be smarter and go somewhere else. Try something else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. Thank you, Alican and Ramona, for your great insights. I do really hope that all of you who did not have any contact points with Agile go home and Google it, because it really is great. I'm really grateful for Sylvia for asking the question about the funding system, because this whole day was about inspiring you and changing structures. But we can't do this on our own as creative people. We need the funding systems to change. We need markets to develop. We need game events to be open to people from film and series industry. So thank you for bringing this up. And I really like the end note that we have. That we have it actually in our hands, how we want to progress, and that it's a lot of what we have in our minds, what's our mindset. So thank you for ending on that. And this is actually the ending of our Focus Day. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. And with that being said, I guess go and mix and mingle. I think it's a great point of connection if you haven't already talked to your peers. And be unreasonable, I guess.
Thank you so much.